Picture this, August 25th, 2025, backstage at WWE Monday Night Raw in Birmingham, UK. The cameras have stopped rolling, the crowd is still buzzing, but in a dimly lit hallway, a conversation is about to unfold that will send shockwaves through the entire WWE Universe. Jey Uso, desperate and determined, approaches his cousin Roman Reigns with a plea that could change everything. He wants to bring Jacob Fatu, the Samoan Werewolf himself, into the OG Bloodline to take down Seth Rollins and the Vision once and for all. But Roman's response? It wasn't just a no. It was a character assassination so brutal, so unexpected, that it left even the backstage crew stunned. Roman called Jacob Fatu untrustworthy, a word that in the Anoa'i family carries the weight of exile. What you're about to discover isn't just wrestling drama, it's a family being torn apart at the seams, and the consequences will reshape the WWE landscape forever. Welcome back to the channel, WWE Universe. I'm your host, and today we're diving headfirst into the most explosive backstage moment that 99% of fans missed during Monday Night Raw. While everyone was focused on the in-ring action, a conversation was happening behind closed doors that could determine the future of professional wrestling's most dominant faction. This isn't just about wrestling politics, this is about blood, betrayal, and a decision that could either save the OG Bloodline or destroy it completely. We're going to break down every single detail of this confrontation, analyze the psychology behind Roman's shocking refusal, explore why Jey was so desperate to bring Jacob Fatu back into the fold, and reveal what this means for the upcoming clash at the Castle Premium Live event. But more importantly, we're going to uncover the hidden tensions that have been building for months, the family dynamics that most fans don't understand, and the strategic implications that could change everything we think we know about loyalty in the WWE. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this 30-second conversation might be the most important moment in Bloodline history since Roman first acknowledged his tribal chief status. So buckle up, because we're about to expose the truth behind the most shocking family drama in WWE today. Let's set the scene for what might be the most emotionally charged conversation in recent WWE history. The August 25th episode of Monday Night Raw was supposed to be a standard go-home show before Clash at the Castle, but what happened backstage transformed it into something much more significant. Picture the environment. The BP Pulse Live Arena in Birmingham is still echoing with the roars of 15,000 passionate British fans who just witnessed LA Knight fall to Braun Breaker in the main event, thanks to Seth Rollins' calculated interference. But while the crowd was filing out, discussing the night's events, Jey Uso was pacing backstage, his mind racing with possibilities and desperation. You have to understand Jey's position at this moment. He's coming off a World Heavyweight Championship reign that ended in controversy. He just defeated Braun Breaker in an Extreme Rules match on August 18th, and he's staring down the barrel of a fatal four-way match at Clash at the Castle against Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and LA Knight. The pressure isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. Jey has always been the heart of the Bloodline, the emotional center that kept the family together even when Roman's authoritarian leadership style pushed everyone to their breaking points. He's the one who endured Roman's psychological manipulation for years, who took countless spears and Superman punches to fall in line, and who ultimately walked away in 2023 because he couldn't handle being treated like a subordinate rather than family. Now, in 2025, he's trying to rebuild that family bond while carving out his own legacy as main event Jey. But here's what makes this moment so crucial. Jey isn't just asking for help. He's acknowledging that the OG Bloodline, in its current form, isn't strong enough to handle the threat posed by Seth Rollins and the Vision. Think about what that admission means coming from someone as proud as Jey Uso. He's essentially telling Roman, we're not enough. We need him. That and being Jacob Fatu, a man who has been positioned as both family and enemy, ally and threat. The timing of this conversation is everything. Just hours earlier, Jey had rushed to the ring alongside CM Punk to save LA Knight from a post-match beatdown by Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. He stood in that ring, looking at the chaos around him, and realized that this pattern would continue unless they made a dramatic change. The Vision, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed had the numbers advantage, the momentum, and most importantly, they had unity of purpose. Jey's plea wasn't born from weakness, it was born from strategic thinking mixed with familial love. He sees Jacob Fatu not as the man who cost him the Intercontinental Championship, not as Solo Sikoa's enforcer, but as a lost family member who could be redeemed. In Jey's mind, bringing Jacob back wouldn't just solve their numbers problem, it would heal a fractured family and restore the natural order of the Anoa'i dynasty. Roman Reigns' response to Jey's heartfelt plea wasn't just a rejection, it was a masterclass in psychological warfare that revealed the depths of his strategic thinking and the scars left by years of betrayal. When Roman looked Jey in the eye and declared Jacob Fatu untrustworthy, he wasn't just refusing a request, he was drawing a line in the sand that could permanently divide the Anoa'i family. To understand the weight of Roman's words, you need to understand the man himself. Roman Reigns isn't just the tribal chief because of his wrestling ability or his championship reigns. He's the tribal chief because he's a master manipulator who thinks 10 moves ahead of everyone else. His 1,316-day reign as Universal Champion wasn't built on brute force alone. It was built on his ability to read people, to understand their motivations, and to exploit their weaknesses before they even realized they had them. When Roman called Jacob Fatu Solo's dog, he was doing more than insulting a family member, he was revealing his deep understanding of power dynamics within the bloodline structure. Roman has always demanded absolute loyalty, not because he's power-hungry, but because he's learned that divided loyalty leads to inevitable betrayal. He's been burned before by Sami Zayn, whom he trusted as an honorary member of the bloodline only to have Sami turn on him at the worst possible moment. He's been betrayed by Solo Sikoa, his own cousin, who formed a rival faction and tried to usurp Roman's position as head of the family. But Roman's rejection goes deeper than strategic concerns, it's personal. Jacob Fatu wasn't just a member of Solo's bloodline, he was the enforcer who made Solo's rebellion possible. At Survivor Series War Games 2024, Jacob was the wild card who nearly cost Roman everything. His unpredictable nature, his tendency to go rogue even when following orders represent everything Roman has tried to eliminate from the bloodline structure. Roman built his version of the bloodline on discipline, hierarchy, and unwavering loyalty. Jacob Fatu represents chaos. There's also a psychological element to Roman's response that most fans miss. By calling Jacob untrustworthy in front of Jey, Roman was testing his cousin's loyalty once again. He was essentially asking, are you going to trust my judgment, or are you going to question my authority like you did in 2023? This wasn't just about Jacob Fatu, this was about whether Jey had truly learned to respect Roman's position as the head of the family. Roman's use of the phrase Solo's dog was particularly calculated. In Samoan culture, family hierarchy is sacred, and by reducing Jacob to the status of Solo's subordinate, Roman was stripping him of his family standing. He was saying that Jacob had forfeited his right to be considered true family when he chose Solo over the rightful tribal chief. The brutality of Roman's rejection also served as a message to anyone else who might be watching or listening. Roman was establishing that redemption isn't automatic, that betrayal has consequences, and that his forgiveness must be earned through actions, not words. This wasn't just about Jacob Fatu, this was Roman Reigns reminding everyone why he's the tribal chief. Jacob Fatu represents the most complex and dangerous variable in the entire bloodline equation, and understanding his role is crucial to grasping why this backstage confrontation matters so much. The man they call the Samoan Werewolf isn't just another wrestler, he's a 6 feet 2 inches, 260-pound force of nature who combines the athleticism of a cruiserweight with the devastating power of a super heavyweight. But his physical abilities, impressive as they are, pale in comparison to the psychological impact he has on everyone around him. Jacob's WWE journey began in 2024 when he aligned with Solo Sikoa's version of the bloodline, but his reputation preceded him. As a former MLW World Heavyweight Champion, He brought legitimate credibility and a reputation for brutality that immediately elevated Solo's faction from pretenders to legitimate threats. His debut was nothing short of spectacular. He didn't just join Solo's group, he became its most feared enforcer, the man who could and would destroy anyone who stood in their way. But here's what makes Jacob Fatu so fascinating and so dangerous: his loyalty has always been questionable. Even when he was supposedly fully committed to Solo's bloodline, there were moments where he seemed to be operating according to his own agenda. At Survivor Series War Games, while he was technically fighting for Solo's team, his actions suggested a man who was more interested in proving his own dominance than in following orders. He wasn't just trying to win the match, he was trying to send a message to Roman Reigns that there was a new alpha in the Anoa'i family. The history between Jacob and the OG Bloodline is complicated by personal relationships that go beyond wrestling storylines. Jacob is the son of Sam Fatu, making him a legitimate cousin to Roman, Jey, and Jimmy. This isn't just about wrestling factions, this is about actual family dynamics playing out on the biggest stage in sports entertainment. When Jacob cost Jey the Intercontinental Championship in October 2024, helping Braun Breaker reclaim the title after just 28 days, he wasn't just following Solo's orders, he was making a statement about where his loyalties lay. But Jacob's silence during this entire controversy speaks volumes about his character and his strategic thinking. While Roman and Jey are having heated discussions about his future, Jacob hasn't publicly responded to either the rejection or the potential invitation. This silence could be interpreted in multiple ways. He could be biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to make his move. He could be genuinely conflicted about where his loyalties should lie, or he could be playing a much deeper game than anyone realizes. The most intriguing possibility is that Jacob Fatu has been playing both sides all along. What if his alignment with Solo was never about loyalty to Solo but about positioning himself for an eventual return to the OG Bloodline on his own terms? What if he's been waiting for exactly this moment, when Roman and Jey are desperate enough to consider bringing him back, to negotiate from a position of strength rather than weakness? Jacob Fatu isn't just a wrestler or even just a family member, he's a wild card who could completely reshape the power dynamics of the WWE. While the Anoa'i family tears itself apart with internal debates about trust and loyalty, Seth Rollins and the Vision are operating with the kind of strategic unity that has made them the most dangerous faction in WWE today. Understanding the Vision's approach is crucial to grasping why Jey was so desperate to bring Jacob Fatu into the OG Bloodline and why Roman's refusal might be a catastrophic strategic error. Seth Rollins has always been one of WWE's most intelligent competitors, but his formation of the Vision represents a new level of strategic thinking. Unlike previous factions that were built around personal relationships or shared backgrounds, the Vision is built around a simple but powerful concept: mutual benefit through coordinated destruction of common enemies. Seth doesn't demand the kind of absolute loyalty that Roman requires. Instead, he offers his allies something more valuable: the promise of success through intelligent cooperation. Look at how the Vision operates compared to the Bloodline. When Braun Breaker needed help retaining his Intercontinental Championship, Seth was there to provide interference. When Seth needed backup against multiple opponents, Braun and Bronson Reed were ready to even the odds. This isn't about family hierarchy or cultural traditions. This is about professional wrestlers making smart business decisions to advance their careers. The beauty of the Vision structure is that each member maintains their individual identity while benefiting from group support. Braun Breaker's role in the Vision is particularly significant because it represents everything the OG Bloodline has lost. Braun is young, hungry, and incredibly talented, but he's also smart enough to recognize that aligning with Seth Rollins gives him opportunities he couldn't create on his own. His Intercontinental Championship reign has been extended and legitimized through the Vision support, and his victories feel more significant because they're part of a larger strategic plan. Bronson Reed brings a different element to the Vision: pure destructive power combined with veteran experience. Reed isn't just muscle, he's a thinking man's powerhouse who understands how to use his size and strength strategically. His upcoming match against Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle isn't just about settling a personal grudge. It's about the Vision systematically dismantling the OG Bloodline's leadership structure. The most dangerous aspect of the Vision strategy is how they've managed to isolate the OG Bloodline from potential allies. By creating chaos and forcing Roman and Jey to focus on internal family drama, the Vision has prevented them from building the kind of external alliances that could level the playing field. While Roman is refusing to trust Jacob Fatu, Seth is building bridges with anyone who can help him achieve his goals. The numbers game is also working in the Vision's favor. In any potential confrontation, the Vision can field 3 legitimate main event level competitors, while the OG Bloodline is essentially down to Roman and Jey, with Jey Uso's status remaining unclear. This numerical disadvantage becomes even more pronounced when you consider that the Vision's members are all currently active and motivated, while the OG Bloodline is dealing with internal conflicts that could explode at any moment. The Vision's success isn't just about individual talent. It's about creating a sustainable model for faction warfare that doesn't depend on family loyalty or cultural traditions. The upcoming Clash at the Castle Premium Live event has transformed from a standard WWE show into a potential turning point that could determine the future of both the OG Bloodline and the Vision. The matches scheduled for this event aren't just individual contests, they're interconnected battles in a larger war that will have consequences extending far beyond a single night in the UK. Roman Reigns' match against Bronson Reed represents more than a grudge match between two powerhouses. It's a direct challenge to Roman's status as the tribal chief. Reed isn't just trying to win a match. He's trying to prove that Roman's era of dominance is over. If Reed can defeat Roman, especially with potential interference from the Vision, it would send a message to the entire WWE Universe that the OG Bloodline's power is built on a foundation of sand. Roman has built his entire identity around being unbeatable in big moments, and a loss to Reed would shatter that mystique. But the real powder keg is Jey Uso's fatal 4-way match for the World Heavyweight Championship against Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and LA Knight. This match represents everything that's at stake in the current WWE landscape. Jey isn't just fighting for a championship. He's fighting to prove that he can succeed without compromising his principles or betraying his family. A victory would give him the credibility to challenge Roman's decision-making and potentially force a reconsideration of the Jacob Fatu situation. Seth Rollins' participation in this match adds another layer of complexity. If Seth retains the World Heavyweight Championship, the Vision's position as the dominant faction becomes almost unassailable. Seth would have the top championship, Braun would have the Intercontinental Championship, and they would have successfully neutralized the OG Bloodline's biggest threats. But if Jey wins, it creates a scenario where the OG Bloodline has championship gold again, which could be the catalyst for Jacob Fatu to make his move. CM Punk's presence in this match cannot be overlooked. Punk has shown a willingness to work with Jey when it serves his interests, as evidenced by their cooperation during the August 25th Raw. But Punk is also unpredictable and has his own agenda. His actions during this match could determine whether Jey has any allies outside the Bloodline structure or whether he's truly isolated in his fight against the Vision. LA Knight represents the wild card factor that could upset everyone's plans. Knight has been building momentum and has the crowd support to potentially steal the championship from all 3 of his more established opponents. A Knight victory would completely reshape the championship landscape and force both the OG Bloodline and the Vision to recalculate their strategies. The most intriguing possibility is what happens if both Roman and Jey lose their respective matches. Such an outcome would represent a complete collapse of the OG Bloodline's power structure and could force Roman to reconsider his stance on Jacob Fatu. Desperation has a way of changing people's perspectives on trust and loyalty, and a double loss at Clash at the Castle could be the catalyst that finally brings Jacob back into the family fold, assuming he's still interested in returning. What we witnessed on August 25th, 2025, wasn't just a backstage conversation, it was a defining moment that exposed the fundamental differences in how Roman Reigns and Jey Uso view family, loyalty, and survival in the modern WWE landscape. Roman's brutal rejection of Jacob Fatu reveals a man who has been scarred by betrayal and refuses to compromise his principles, even when facing overwhelming odds. Jey's desperate plea shows a man who believes in redemption and second chances, even when logic suggests otherwise. The implications of this confrontation extend far beyond the immediate future. We're looking at a potential fracture in the Anoa'i family that could have generational consequences. If Roman maintains his stance and the Vision continues to dominate, the OG Bloodline could become irrelevant. If Jey goes behind Roman's back to recruit Jacob Fatu, we could see a civil war within the family that makes their previous conflicts look like minor disagreements. But here's what I think is really happening. This entire situation is building toward a moment where Roman Reigns will be forced to choose between his pride and his family's survival. The Vision's systematic dismantling of the OG Bloodline's power structure is designed to create exactly this kind of desperation. Seth Rollins isn't just trying to win matches, he's trying to force Roman into a position where he has no choice but to accept help from someone he considers untrustworthy. The real question isn't whether Jacob Fatu will eventually join the OG Bloodline, it's whether Roman will be able to swallow his pride before it's too late. And based on what we know about Roman's character, that might be the most difficult challenge he's ever faced. Clash at the Castle will provide the first real test of whether Roman's strategy of isolation and control can survive against the Vision's strategy of cooperation and mutual benefit. The results of those matches will determine not just championship gold, but the future direction of WWE's most compelling storyline. What do you think? Was Roman right to reject Jacob Fatu, or is his pride going to cost the OG Bloodline everything? Should Jey go behind Roman's back and recruit Jacob anyway? And most importantly, who do you think will walk out of Clash at the Castle as the real winners, the OG Bloodline or the Vision? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth WWE analysis. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll break down every moment from Clash at the Castle and analyze what it means for the future of the Bloodline saga.